Module 4. Art and Entertainment. Modular page. Exercise 2A, page 67. Realistic costumes and makeup. Models and fashion designers. Mime artists. Clothes and accessories made of chocolate. Traditional dances. Decorated rowing boats. Elaborate lion costumes. Races. Exercise 2B, page 67.
Welcome to today's show. We have 5 callers who are going to tell us about some extraordinary events and festivals they've been to. First up is Amanda. Hello, Amanda.
Hello. While on my travels last year, I was in Malaysia and attended a lion dancing championship. Wow, these dancers are so talented. Basically, they perform traditional lion dances in amazing elaborate lion costumes. They dance in time to the music of drums, cymbals, and gongs. But the most amazing thing is that they perform acrobatics and stunts high up off the ground on tall poles. It's absolutely fascinating.
It sounds thrilling, Amanda. Thanks for that. Next on the line is Millie. Hi, Millie.
Hi. Okay, so this autumn I went to New York and saw a chocolate fashion show. Can you believe it? It was absolutely extraordinary to see models dressed from head to toe in clothes and accessories made of chocolate and other chocolate treats like macaroons and profiteroles. We were told that fashion designers and top chefs work together to come up with these creations. They must be so talented.
They really must be, Millie. Next we have Michael. Hello, Michael.
Hi, I was recently in the Netherlands during the Living Statue World Championships, and it was a really interesting experience. I couldn't believe how realistic their costumes and makeup were. These performers are basically mime artists who stand perfectly still until you give them some money. You would think that it's easy to just stand still, but it really isn't. These people are very talented actors.
You're right, Michael. Finally, we have Pete on the line.
Hi. My family and I holidayed in Venice in September and had the chance to see the famous Venice Regatta. I describe it as a colourful procession on water. The racers dress in brightly coloured historical outfits and take part in races in decorated rowing boats. It's really worth going there to see it.
That sounds wonderful too, Pete. Well, thank you to all our callers for joining us. I, for one, really hope I get the chance to experience one of those events. They all sound remarkable. Next on the show, we'll be talking to
4A, Winter Festivals. Exercise 1, page 68.
Sledging. Ice fishing. Carve statues of ice. Ice sculpting. Build snow statues. Taste delicious local dishes. Sit in a hot tub. Watch parades. Snow rafting. Go on sleigh rides. Participate in competitions. Attend outdoor dance parties. Attend live music. Go ice skating. Have an outdoor banquet.
Exercise 2, page 68. Ice festivals.
Winter blues getting you down? Then why not head off to some of the world's most exciting winter parties? Travel writer Noel Starr talks to 4 people who did just that. A. Mountain Trout Ice Festival, South Korea.
If you ever get the chance to go to the Mountain Trout Ice Festival in South Korea, all I can say is go. The festival puts on over 40 different events, including sledging and ice soccer, but the main attraction is ice fishing. Thousands of holes are drilled into the thick ice covering the Hwacheon River, and each day of the festival, 32 tons of mountain trout are released beneath the ice for people to fish. The real entertainment is the bare hands fishing. A pool is built beside the river, trout are put into it, and people climb into the icy cold water and attempt to grab the fast-moving, squirming fish with their bare hands. It's hilarious. No one watching can keep a straight face. Cooking centres are situated all around the festival venue, and chefs prepare the fish right in front of you.
B. Fairbanks Ice Festival, Alaska.
If you can cope with freezing temperatures and are looking to see some incredible artwork, head for the Fairbanks Ice Festival in Alaska. Every year, the world's largest ice art competition, the World Ice Art Championships, takes place there. It's a chance to see more than 100 international sculptors create incredible statues of ice before your very eyes. I really enjoyed watching the sculptures take shape. In many ice art competitions, artists work on commercially manufactured blocks of ice. In Alaska, the ice blocks used are taken directly from local ponds. The festival is a month-long event during February and March, and it is well worth going to. You'll never forget the incredible icy creations you see.
C. Sapporo Snow Festival, Japan. Last year I happened to be in Japan during February when the Sapporo Snow Festival takes place. I'd heard from friends that it was one of Japan's most popular festivals, so I decided to take a look. From Tokyo, I travelled north to Hokkaido, the second largest of Japan's 6,800 or so islands, where Sapporo is located. When I arrived, the festival was already in full swing. What an event! Every year, about 2 million people come to see the hundreds of elaborate snow statues and ice sculptures that teams of sculptors from as far away as Hawaii and India fly into Japan to create. The statues, which are illuminated at night, are spectacular. The tallest reach 50 feet in height, and all take weeks to create. The festival isn't just about icy works of art, though. There's music, a huge ice maze, and a wide variety of regional foods. There's even a ski jump, where snowboarders thrill festival goers with their incredible skills. D. Quebec Winter Carnival, Canada.
If you're looking for a family-friendly festival, then you needn't look further than Quebec's annual Winter Carnival. From snow rafting, horse-drawn sleigh rides, and outdoor banquets, to snow competitions, dancing, and magical night parades, there's a huge variety of events. The streets of Quebec City are decorated for this 10-day event, and special events are put on in the city's restaurants. The mood is so friendly, and the locals are the perfect hosts. My favorite festival experience was sitting in a hot tub out in the open, among snow-covered pine trees, under a starry night sky. Quebec's Winter Carnival claims to be the biggest winter festival in the world. I don't know if that's the case, but it surely must be one of the best.
(4B) Life as a performer. Exercise 1, page 70.
fire eater, juggler, lion tamer, magician, motorcycle stuntman, trapeze artist, stilt walker, acrobat, sword swallower, ringmaster, tightrope walker, clown.
Exercise 2, page 70. Exercise 4, page 71.
Flying Daredevil. Early in the spring of 1995, when she was 5 years old, she was taken by her aunt to see a traveling circus which passed through her small town in southwest China. Chun-Mi became immediately fixated on the idea of becoming a traveling performer.
The sights, smells and sounds of the big top attracted me,
She recalls.
Everything just seemed so magical. The atmosphere was like nothing I'd ever experienced.
Of all the acts, Chun-Mi was most captivated by the trapeze artists.
I remember thinking to myself how wonderful it must be to fly through the air for a living.
She says.
I couldn't take my eyes off the performers as they spun, flipped and flew above my head.
Chun-Mi laughs as she remembers her 5-year-old self.
By the time the routine was halfway through, I'd made up my mind that one day I too would be a circus trapeze artist.
Chun-Mi's road to circus stardom began soon afterwards. She took ballet classes, acting lessons, gymnastics classes, anything to hone her craft. At 13, she won a scholarship to Canada's National Circus School. Her talent at the school was such that she was expected to go on to great things. At 18, she was headhunted by a scout from Collington Brothers Circus. Today, Chun-Mi is one of their star acts, flying through the air, defying gravity, living the dream she imagined as a little girl. Trapeze artistry is not a job for the faint-hearted, but for Chun-Mi, the adrenaline of aerial performance is better than anything a regular job could offer.
It's like a dream flying. When you do a great performance on the trapeze and everything goes well, it's such an incredible feeling. I do my best to project that feeling to the audience.
To become a trapeze artist requires the right body type. Only small bodies can bend, twist, turn, and twirl at a moment's notice. Mental toughness and natural talent are also key. Chun-Mi had these qualities right from the very beginning.
I've never trained a more determined child,
recalls James Ford, her coach at the National Circus School.
Her form, natural ability and willpower to cope with the intense training were remarkable.
However, ask Chun-Mi what it takes to be a trapeze artist and she says training, lots of it.
I'd say, first of all, that trapeze artistry is not magic, it's effort.
She states.
You have to work extremely hard in order to master the stunts and make them look effortless.
So, what of life under the big top? Is it as carefree and glamorous as it appears from the outside?
Yes and no,
says Chun-Mi.
Being in a circus is the perfect job when you're young because you get to travel the world. Already I've experienced more cultures and met more people than I could ever have imagined.
Chun-Mi also speaks of the thrill of performing in front of a live audience.
Every day I get to hear the sounds of people applauding for me. I get to see the awe I inspire in people. It's written all over their faces. It's a huge adrenaline rush,
she admits. As for the downside, Chun-Mi identifies the long work hours, constant travelling, and aches and pains that are all part of her profession.
Audiences see the lights and the glitter, but few realise the hard work and sacrifices we make,
she says.
As entertainers, it is expected that we perform even when sick. Circus performers live by the motto, the show must go on.
Unit 4C. Culture Corner. Exercise 2, page 72.
Royal Ascot. Normally a small, quiet town west of London, Ascot becomes a high society hotspot for 5 days every June. The racecourse hosts the jewel in the crown of British horse racing, known for big wins and astonishing outfits. Because the Queen attends in person, the event is known as Royal Ascot. It is the most popular horse racing event in Europe, and in the past has attracted as many as 300,000 racegoers a day. The punters aren't the only nervous ones as the horses spring out of the starting gate. Besides the £5.5 million in prize money on offer, there's a lot at stake for the horse owners, trainers, and jockeys. If a horse wins, its value soars and boosts the trainers' and jockeys' careers as well. However, training for the race is not easy. The Ascot racecourse is considered one of the most demanding in the world. The racing isn't the only thing that draws people's attention at Ascot. It's also a fashion show like no other. On Ladies' Day, what the women are wearing when they arrive often gets more coverage in the press than what's happening on the racecourse. Racegoers in the royal enclosure are required to follow a strict dress code. Men must wear morning coats and top hats. The ladies wear formal dresses and hats, and in the latter case, often show off outrageous designs. Her Majesty's hats are usually rather more conservative.
(4D) Everyday English. Exercise 3A, page 73.
I was hoping you could give me a hand picking an outfit. What's the dress code? It's strictly formal. I love the colour, but it's a bit short. How about this one then? Oh, that's absolutely lovely. I'll go and try it on. Wow, that style really suits you. They match the dress perfectly.
Exercise 3B, page 73.
So, what's the special occasion we're shopping for?
I've been invited to the company's annual dance next Saturday. I was hoping you could give me a hand picking an outfit.
Sure, I'd love to. What's the dress code?
It's strictly formal. I'll need something quite classy.
How about a nice cocktail dress and high heels?
Yes, that's what I was thinking. Do you like this one?
That's nice. Turquoise always looks great on you. It brings out your eyes.
I love the colour, but it's a bit too short.
You're right. How about this one then? I love the pattern and the cut.
Oh, that's absolutely lovely. I'll go and try it on. So, what do you think?
Wow, that style really suits you.
Thanks. I'll get it.
How about these shoes? They match the dress perfectly.
Yes, they do. Right. I'm all set for the party now.
Exercise 5, page 73.
That style really suits you. You look fantastic in that. That colour really suits you. You look gorgeous today. That brings out the colour of your eyes. I love your skirt. Is it new?
4E. Helping people through art. Exercise 8, page 75.
Dream big. Passers-by pause in a bustling Hong Kong street. Something doesn't look right. Right next to a fancy restaurant, there's a large photo of an emaciated young girl in the slums. Looked at from the other side of the street, it seems the starving girl is being ignored by the comfortable diners. But that's the idea. Or rather, it is Cade Ashton's. He took the photo and put it up. He goes to the world's most dangerous and deprived urban areas, takes pictures of their poverty-stricken residents, then shows them where richer people can't avoid noticing them. Ashton's passion for photography began with other subjects, though he has always been interested in the lives of the down and outs. He began photographing graffiti on trains around his home in Canada. Then after university, he moved to Taiwan. Here he began to photograph people. Since then, he has traveled to Iran, Venezuela, the Philippines, Colombia, Cambodia, and more than 24 other countries, seeking out those areas where most don't go. Although taxi drivers sometimes refuse to take him, Ashton believes the slum dwellers are often the friendliest and most welcoming people of all. He says the people are often keen to be photographed, especially if he helps them with a job. He asks which city they'd like their photo to be shown in. Los Angeles seems to be the most popular. Back home, he turns the photos into poster-sized prints. Next, he chooses where to place the poster. Ideally, somewhere where there will be an obvious contrast. For instance, he might select a picture of a boy picking through a rubbish dump to go next to an expensive designer boutique. Then, he uses a technique called weak pasting to stick them on the walls. Most of the time, what Ashton is doing is against the law. It is called fly posting, and it is a common problem in cities. Everyone from nightclub owners to political parties cover walls with ugly advertisements and announcements. It is treated by the police as similar to graffiti, in that it is vandalism of a public space.
It's just some paper and glue,
Ashton says. But it still requires someone to clean it off, and wheat paste can be very difficult to remove. But Ashton does more than take and exhibit his photos. In Manila, he was particularly shocked to find people living under bridges, advertising billboards, and beside railways. He wanted to give them a way to express themselves, so he started a small school teaching drawing, t-shirt painting, and breakdancing. Ashton isn't without his critics, though. Certainly, we should keep in mind those less lucky than ourselves, and there's no doubt that the street kids like the creativity classes. But we can also ask, are Ashton's pictures really helping those he photographs? Do street kids in Manila actually benefit from breakdancing lessons? And is it fair to give residents of Los Angeles or Hong Kong a guilt trip for the condition of slum dwellers? Perhaps Ashton's method is too simplistic.
Unit 4F, Art Festival. Exercise 1, page 76.
Art in the desert. Don Thompson reports on a festival that celebrates free expression.
Some years ago, my friends had been left with a spare ticket for the Burning Man Festival in the Nevada desert, and I reluctantly agreed to go along. If I had been an adventurous person like them, then maybe I would have jumped at the chance. But I went, though it didn't start well. The air conditioning in our mobile home was broken, so the journey was a nightmare. But then, all of a sudden, the clouds of dust finally parted and my frustration gave way to the first of many delights. Ahead of us was an 80-acre plot of land with hundreds of cars dressed up to look like whales, rabbits, steamboats. There was even a fire-breathing dragon. I immediately wished I had my camera. It looked like a scene from another planet. Every August, the desert landscape is transformed into a huge, dusty canvas for 50,000 participants, called burners, who assemble their own unique pieces of artwork and build a metropolis called Black Rock City. You can see anything, from a 17-foot gumball machine to a bicycle-powered cinema. The city itself runs as if it were a real city with its own airport, newspaper, radio station, and even its own police force. Arranged in a rough semicircle, the makeshift city is so big that it can be seen from space. I couldn't believe that it would soon be completely dismantled. The commitment to Black Rock City's motto, "Leave no trace," means that every bottle cap, spot of ash, and drop of wastewater must be cleared away to leave the desert in its previously unspoilt condition. We parked our vehicle on the outer edge of the city and started walking towards the center. It wasn't long before we spotted the Burning Man himself, a huge wooden statue built to burn at the festival's closing ceremony. First set alight in 1986 on a beach in San Francisco, it was intended to mark the summer solstice, when the sun is at its highest and we get the most hours of daylight. As the burning of the statue became an annual event attracting more and more people, it was moved to Nevada. Black Rock City is not a consumer society. There is no money in Black Rock City. People were actually handing out free food like spaghetti and pancakes to passers-by. If only real life was that easy. All we were expected to do in return was pay it forward by giving something away to a stranger later on. Each day of the festival, we headed into the city and were completely amazed by something different. What could be more bizarre than an ice sculpture playing music in the desert? One of my favorite art pieces, though, was two trucks stacked like a question mark, with their tail lights pointing towards the sky. Everywhere I looked, people had painted their bodies, were performing expressive dances, riding their decorated bikes in the open air, or building various sunshades. On the last day, I walked to the temple where burners write messages on the wall. I looked at a few of the notes, most of which were very personal and some incredibly moving. That night we gathered at the center for the burning of the man. Thousands of us cheered as it went up in flames. I couldn't help but think that if I had shaken off my fears and truly embraced the freedom of the week, I would be a different person now. I think I'll return this year and be a much better participant. Who knows, maybe I'll even paint myself blue.
For G. Skills. Exercise 5, page 78.
The young man in picture A looks smart, but not formal. He is leaning against a concrete wall, reading a newspaper. It looks like a serious broadsheet newspaper, though his attention isn't on the page. The young woman in picture B is sitting cross-legged on a wooden jetty by a water feature. She's dressed very casually and has a hat, bag, and cup of coffee next to her. She's reading a book with a red cover. It's a plain cover and might be from a library. I think the young man might be waiting for a train or bus. He might be at work because he's wearing a watch. The young woman isn't wearing a watch and looks like she's going to be spending more time reading. I think the woman has deliberately chosen to go to the park to read, but the young man is reading to pass the time while he does something else.
Exercise 6, page 78. Speaker A.
I'm constantly checking the news apps on my mobile phone for celebrity gossip. Although you can read about your favourite stars in a newspaper or magazine, it's just not the same. These apps are updated throughout the day, so I can keep really up to date with everything that's going on in the entertainment world. I often check the news sites in between my classes and after school when I'm on the bus on the way home. I'm a little bit addicted to them.
Speaker B.
One of my favourite pastimes is going to the theatre or the cinema to watch the newest plays and films. So I pick up a free daily newspaper every day outside the metro station on my way to work to see which performances have been praised by the media and seem worth going to see. I often choose what I'm going to see next from these articles. My favourite shows of all are musicals. Actually, it's my dream to be up there on the stage with the performers and to be given 4 stars by arts critics.
Speaker C.
I usually keep up with what's going on in the world online. In fact, the first thing I do every morning is go to all the main national newspaper sites and read the headlines. I guess I enjoy the fact that I can have a quick look whenever I have a free moment, rather than having to go out and buy a printed newspaper and then sit down and read it. That would take time that I don't have. I also like the fact that there are often videos online to go with the articles. By clicking on those, there's no need anymore for me to watch the TV news. I'm not usually at home when the news is on anyway.
Speaker D.
I know it's important to have at least a general idea of what's going on in the world, but I really don't enjoy reading newspapers. Online or the old-fashioned way in print. I'd much rather flick through a magazine and catch up with the latest celebrity gossip, to be honest. I find that relaxing, whereas the news is full of depressing wars, crimes and disasters. I'm a little ashamed to admit it, but I can't help how I feel.
Speaker E.
I know most people like to keep up with the news online these days, but I'm not one of them. There's nothing I like better than taking a break to sit down with a broadsheet newspaper and a cup of coffee to read the news in the old-fashioned way. I find it a really pleasant way to unwind when I get home. After all, I spend all day looking at a screen at work, so I want to do something that helps me to totally switch off when I get home.
4H. Curricula. Design and Technology. Exercise 1, page 79.
Holography, the new 3D. We're all familiar now with 3D technology in films and on TV, but it seems all this might soon be competing with an even more advanced technology, holography. Whereas a 3D image appears on a flat screen, a holographic image is a laser projection of light that looks as if it was standing right in front of you, allowing you to walk around and even through it.
A. TV and Internet. Ever since a holographic Princess Leia appeared out of the robot R2-D2 in Star Wars, sci-fi fans and researchers have dreamt of the day when such technology would become a reality. Well, that day is almost here. CNN used holographic technology during the 2008 US presidential election coverage to make their news correspondent appear as if she was in the studio, even though she was several states away. Actually, this wasn't real holography, but a superimposition technique, which had been known for years. As for the Internet, we got the first glimpse of what this might look like in the 2002 movie Minority Report, starring Tom Cruise. There would be no mouse or keyboard, just a holographic screen allowing you to walk through the Internet, using your hands as the controls. B. Music shows. True holography remains very difficult and expensive to create and project. It also requires high-powered lasers, which are dangerous to use around people. There's another method, however, that uses an updated 19th century theatre trick called Pepper's Ghost. An image is projected from below onto an angled sheet of glass at the front of the stage. This creates an extremely lifelike image that appears on the stage. This was how the English band Gorillaz appeared at the MTV Europe Music Awards. Considering the band members are all cartoon characters, it was the only way. Hatsune Miku, a Japanese pop star, performed a sellout tour and topped the charts using a similar setup. Yes, you've guessed it. She's not real either. C. Politics. One of the most effective uses of 3D images was seen in 2012 in the Indian state of Gujarat. Using the Pepper's Ghost method, the Indian politician Narendra Modi gave an election speech in 53 locations across 26 cities simultaneously. In the following days, he made 5 3D broadcasts, which were viewed in 180 locations. Modi won in Gujarat and 2 years later became Prime Minister of India. It will be many years before we have the holographic gadgets promised to us by science fiction films, where we and our friends can appear in each other's living rooms. However, the examples above show the winning power of the 3D presence of a person, even if it's only simulated.
For I. Writing. Exercise 9A, page 81.
Good morning. Did you have a good weekend?
Yes, it was very relaxing. What about you?
Well, I did a bit of shopping on Saturday and then I saw a really good film yesterday.
Ooh, which film?
The Amazing Spider-Man. Have you seen it?
No. Is it an action film?
Yes, it's based on the comic book character.
Tell me about it then.
Well, it's set in New York and the story begins with high school student Peter Parker trying to discover why his parents disappeared. He finds a clue which leads him to his father's old work colleague, Dr. Kurt Connors. Peter discovers his own powers and must prepare to face the villain, the Lizard, and become the hero.
It sounds interesting. Who stars in it?
It stars Andrew Garfield and it's directed by Mark Webb.
So, you would recommend this film then?
Oh, absolutely. It's got spectacular special effects, a gripping storyline, and well-developed characters. The cast gives superb performances and it has an action-packed ending.
Sounds like I should see this film.
Definitely, it's a must-see.
RNE. Skills. 4. Exercise 7, page 84. Dialogue A.
Just look at that. You wouldn't know it's a real person at all.
It is pretty impressive, yes. But I couldn't stand all those passers-by staring at me all the time.
But that's exactly what they want. They're entertainers. They love what they do.
I bet they don't love it when it starts to rain.
Dialogue B.
Come on, we'll be able to see better if we're right in front of the stage.
No way. It's always too crowded there. Let's stand where there's more room.
What's the point of being here if we can't see the band?
Don't exaggerate. We'll be able to see and hear perfectly well.
Dialogue C.
Wow, look at those hats they're wearing. They must have been really expensive.
Yeah, they look like models, don't they? To be honest, I feel a little out of place.
Don't worry, you look fine. Come on, let's put a bet on. I think the race is starting soon.
Okay.
Dialogue D.
The reviews for this were very good. One critic said the lead actor gave the best performance he'd seen all year.
I remember seeing a production of this 3, maybe 4 years ago. The cast were great then, too.
I wonder if there's going to be a break halfway through. It's a very long play.
Shh, it's starting.
You have 20 seconds to complete the task. Now you will listen to the dialogues again. Dialogue A.
Just look at that. You wouldn't know it's a real person at all.
It is pretty impressive, yes, but I couldn't stand all those passers-by staring at me all the time.
But that's exactly what they want. They're entertainers. They love what they do.
I bet they don't love it when it starts to rain.
Dialogue B.
Come on, we'll be able to see better if we're right in front of the stage.
No way. It's always too crowded there. Let's stand where there's more room.
What's the point of being here if we can't see the band?
Don't exaggerate. We'll be able to see and hear perfectly well.
Dialogue C.
Wow, look at those hats they're wearing. They must have been really expensive.
Yeah, they look like models, don't they? To be honest, I feel a little out of place.
Don't worry, you look fine. Come on, let's put a bet on. I think the race is starting soon.
Okay.
Dialogue D.
The reviews for this were very good. One critic said the lead actor gave the best performance he'd seen all year.
I remember seeing a production of this 3, maybe 4 years ago. The cast were great then, too.
I wonder if there's going to be a break halfway through. It's a very long play.
Shh, it's starting.
This is the end of the task. You now have 20 seconds to check your answers. Russia, 4. Exercise 1, page 86.
Moscow's ice sculptures. After paying your entrance fee at most museums, you might pay a visit to the cloakroom to hang up your coat. However, at the Ice Sculpture Museum in Sokolniki Park, Moscow, you visit the cloakroom to put on warm winter wear and even some snug boots if you want to. That's because this museum is kept at a constant -10 degrees Celsius all year round. It needs to be this cold to prevent an astonishing display of ice sculptures from melting away right before your eyes. Sokolniki Park has attractions to suit every taste, including an amusement park, an outdoor skating rink, and an expo center. And now it has the world's only permanent ice sculpture museum too. Covering 500 square meters, this indoor exhibition has giant ice insects, frozen aliens, and a living room to chill out. There's a vase of flowers that will never die, but may one day melt. There's also an ice dinosaur fossil and a giant Ice Age mammoth. Visitors can even get a drink from an ice glass. In the evening, the sculptures are lit up with multicolored lights to create an incredible winter wonderland. The idea for the museum came from a group of prize-winning international sculptors who have worked with snow, ice, and sand. The Russian sculptors came from Moscow and St. Petersburg, but also from Arkhangelsk, where a lot of the ice originated from. All in all, 800 tons of ice and 200 tons of snow were used to make the sculptures, which will be replaced twice a year. Over the winter of 2014-2015, Ice Planet was created, an outdoor display in the park itself. This tradition goes back to Peter the Great, where snow cities and ice slopes were built during feasts and holidays. Ice Planet lasted for 3 months and contained an ice cinema and an ice hotel. In previous years, the ice cities have included an orchestra of ice instruments and a cool disco with a slippery dance floor. Dozens of architects, artists, sculptors, and volunteers cooperate to build these amazing winter wonderlands. They face a real challenge at times, as they battle against rain and higher than average temperatures. The Ice Sculpture Museum is open all year round and is well worth a visit, despite the long queues to get in. Don't forget to sign up for an ice sculpting class. This is the only museum in Russia that will let you loose with an electric saw and a chisel to create your own icy masterpiece.